Come, let us pray. God is here.
Here I am, God, with hands that are tired of gripping tomorrow and a heart worn thin by the need to control what I cannot see. And I confess that so much of my anxiety has come from trying to carry outcomes that were never meant to rest on my shoulders, from rehearsing futures that have not arrived, from tightening my grip when you were quietly asking me to breathe, to trust, to rest, because I forget that you are already present in every moment I fear, that you are already working in places my worry cannot reach. And tonight I do not come with strategies or solutions. I come with a longing to release what has been heavy, to loosen my clenched thoughts, to lay down the exhausting belief that everything depends on me. And as I speak these words, I gently invite you to come closer with me, to step into this prayer not as someone who must fix their anxiety, but as someone who is learning that letting go is not giving up. It is trusting a God who has never dropped what he holds. As this prayer keeps moving, I feel how deeply control has shaped my breathing, my decisions, even my faith, turning trust into tension and hope into constant vigilance. And you see it all, God, the nights when my mind refuses to rest, the quiet panic hidden behind productivity, the way I plan and replan because I am afraid of being unprepared for pain. Yet you whisper that preparation is not the same as peace, that surrender is not weakness, that trust does not mean danger, and you remind me that you have carried generations through uncertainty without ever asking them to manage the future alone. And right now I sense an opening in my heart where fear once ruled, a soft space where your presence can settle. And I invite you listening to this prayer to rest your thoughts here with mine, to allow this moment to be enough, trusting that God is already holding what you are trying so hard not to drop. I realize, Lord, how often my need for control disguises itself as responsibility, how I tell myself I am being wise while my soul is quietly unraveling under the weight of imagined outcomes. And you watch me with patience as I exhaust myself trying to predict what only you can see, reminding me that faith was never meant to feel like pressure, that trust was never meant to tighten my chest, and that peace does not come from certainty, but from your nearness. Because even when the path ahead is unclear, you remain constant, steady, unshaken. And as your presence settles into the restless corners of my heart, I feel permission to slow down, to release the timelines I created out of fear. And in this gentle unfolding, I invite you to breathe with me for a moment, to loosen your grip on what you have been rehearsing in your mind, and to trust that God is already walking ahead of you, clearing what you cannot yet see. There are moments, God, when my thoughts race faster than my prayers, when worry speaks louder than hope, and I forget that you are not intimidated by my uncertainty, that you are not surprised by the questions I cannot answer. And still, I keep trying to manage every detail as if my vigilance could protect me from pain. Yet you gently remind me that anxiety grows where trust is withheld, that control is often fear wearing the mask of strength. And you invite my heart back into alignment with your peace, a peace that does not demand explanations or guarantees, only presence. And as this truth settles, I feel my shoulders ease and my breathing soften. And I quietly invite you who are listening to release one heavy thought right now. Just one, allowing God to hold it for you, trusting that nothing placed in his hands is ever mishandled. I begin to see, Lord, how much of my anxiety has been fueled by the fear of losing control, by the belief that if I loosen my grip, everything will fall apart. Yet you have been steady all along, holding what I was never meant to secure, guiding outcomes I could never calculate. And you speak softly to the part of me that equates surrender with failure, reminding me that letting go is not abandonment, but alignment, not weakness, but wisdom, because you do not ask me to stop caring, only to stop carrying what belongs to you. And as this realization sinks deeper into my spirit, I feel a quiet courage rising, the courage to trust beyond my understanding, And in this sacred pause, I gently invite you to place your worries alongside mine, to imagine setting them down together, trusting that God's hands are far stronger and far kinder than our own. As I stay here with you, God, I notice how deeply ingrained my habit of control has been, how it has shaped my prayers into negotiations and my faith into constant monitoring. And you meet me without judgment, showing me that love does not require surveillance, that trust does not need constant checking, and that your care continues even when my attention drifts, because you are faithful in ways my anxiety cannot comprehend. And you invite my heart to relearn rest, to believe that peace is not earned through effort, but received through surrender. And as this truth gently washes over me, I feel a softening inside, a loosening of the urgency that once ruled my thoughts. And I quietly invite you listening now to pause with me, to allow yourself a breath that is not rushed or guarded, trusting that in this moment, God is fully present and completely in control. I recognize now, Lord, how often my mind has confused vigilance with wisdom, how I have stayed tense, thinking it would keep me safe. Yet you reveal that safety is not found in constant alertness, but in abiding with you, in knowing that even when I am unaware, you remain attentive. Even when I am silent, you are active. And you gently teach me that trust is a posture, not a conclusion, something practiced moment by moment as I learn to release the need to foresee every outcome. And as this understanding settles, I feel my inner noise quiet, just enough to hear your steady reassurance. And in this calm unfolding, I invite you who are listening to lean into this stillness with me, to allow God to guard what you have been guarding alone, trusting that His watchfulness never tires and never fails. There is a tenderness, God, in realizing how much of my exhaustion has come from trying to be my own protector, my own provider, my own guarantee against loss. And you gently interrupt that cycle by reminding me that you have always been those things for me, long before my worry learned how to speak, long before my fear learned how to plan. And you invite me into a different rhythm, one where faith breathes and trust unfolds without force, where surrender becomes a place of safety rather than a risk. And as this truth settles into my spirit, I feel permission to rest without apology, to trust without rehearsing disaster. And I softly invite you listening now to step into this same permission, allowing God to take over what you have been guarding so tightly, trusting that His care reaches further than your control ever could. I notice, Lord, how my prayers begin to change as I loosen my grip, how they soften from demands into conversations, from urgent pleas into quiet trust. And you meet me there with a peace that does not rush me forward or push me to resolve everything at once, but simply stays, reminding me that your presence is not conditional on my certainty, that you walk with me even when my steps hesitate. And you teach my heart that faith grows strongest not when answers arrive, but when fear loosens its hold. And as this realization settles, I feel a gentle steadiness replacing the inner rush. And I invite you who are listening to let this steadiness meet you where you are, allowing God to hold the unanswered questions with you, trusting that He is not threatened by what you do not yet understand. As this trust deepens, God, I begin to understand how control once felt like protection, but slowly became a prison, tightening around my thoughts, shaping my expectations, stealing the simple joy of being present. And you patiently open the door I forgot I could step through, showing me that freedom is found not in managing every outcome, but in walking with you through uncertainty, because you are not only at the end of the road I fear, you are beside me on every step of it, steady and unafraid. And as this awareness settles into my heart, I feel space opening where tension once lived. And I gently invite you listening now to step into this same space, to allow God to walk with you instead of pushing ahead alone, trusting that His pace is always guided by love. I begin to sense, Lord, how my body itself has been carrying the weight of my need to control, how tight breaths and restless nights have been silent prayers for relief, and you respond not with urgency, but with compassion, reminding me that even my physical weariness is known to you, that you are attentive to every sigh, every moment my heart races without words, and you invite me to experience trust not only as a thought, but as a felt release, a deep exhale of the soul. And as I allow this truth to settle, I feel a quiet gentleness moving through me, and I softly invite you listening now to notice your breathing with me, to let it slow just a little, trusting that God is close enough to steady even the parts of you that feel out of control. I am learning, God, that trust is not a single decision, but a continual return, a daily choosing to place my fears back into your hands when they wander into mine again. And you meet me each time without impatience, without reminding me how often I have struggled, because your mercy is not diminished by repetition. And you show me that control loosens not through force, but through familiarity with your faithfulness, through remembering the ways you have carried me before, even when I did not notice. And as this remembrance warms my heart, I feel hope rising quietly. And I gently invite you who are listening to remember one moment when God sustained you, to let that memory soften your grip today, trusting that the same faithfulness still surrounds you now. There is a quiet humility, Lord, in admitting how often I have tried to outrun uncertainty instead of walking through it with you, how I have treated trust like a finish line instead of a companion. Yet you stay patient as I learn that faith does not erase questions. It steadies me while they remain. And you remind me that I do not need to understand every turn to be safely guided, because your wisdom surrounds what my understanding cannot reach. And as this realization settles, I feel my resistance soften, my need to rush easing into acceptance. And in this gentle moment, I invite you listening now to walk alongside me in this prayer, allowing God to guide your next step without demanding a full map, trusting that His presence is enough for today. I see now, God, how deeply my fear of the unknown has shaped my desire to control, how I have tried to shrink tomorrow into something manageable so I would not have to feel vulnerable today. And you meet that fear with tenderness, reminding me that vulnerability is not a flaw in my faith, but a doorway into deeper trust, because you are not asking me to be fearless, only to be held. And you show me that uncertainty does not mean abandonment. It means invitation, an opening where your guidance becomes more intimate and real. And as this truth settles into my spirit, I feel a quiet reassurance replacing the urge to brace myself. And I gently invite you listening now to allow yourself to be held in this uncertainty, trusting that God's presence is steady, even when the future feels undefined. As I remain here, Lord, I start to notice how control has often been my attempt to avoid pain, how I believed that if I anticipated every outcome, I could soften every blow. Yet you gently reveal that love, not control, is what truly sustains me. Because even when pain cannot be avoided, it is never faced alone. And you remind me that you are present not only in my victories, but also in the fragile moments I fear most, steady and compassionate. And as this awareness settles into my heart, I feel less driven to brace myself against the future. And in this calm unfolding, I invite you who are listening to release the need to protect yourself from everything ahead, trusting that God will meet you with grace in every moment you arrive. I begin to understand, God, that my anxious striving has often been a way of trying to feel worthy of your care, as if peace had to be earned through effort and vigilance. Yet you gently dismantle that belief, reminding me that your love was never a reward for control, but a gift given freely, sustained by grace rather than performance. And you invite my heart to rest in the truth that I am held not because I manage well, but because you love well. And as this realization settles, a quiet relief spreads through me, loosening the pressure I placed on myself. And I softly invite you listening now to let go of the belief that you must hold everything together to be loved, trusting that God's care for you is already complete and unwavering. There is a quiet shift within me, Lord, as I begin to release the belief that peace must always be preceded by clarity, that calm must be earned after everything makes sense, and you gently show me that trust often comes before understanding, that rest can exist even when answers are still forming, because you are not waiting on my certainty to act. You are already moving in ways my anxious mind cannot trace. And as this awareness settles, I feel my urgency soften, my need to resolve everything loosening its grip. And in this gentle unfolding, I invite you listening now to allow peace to meet you without explanation, trusting that God's presence is enough even when the path ahead is still unfolding. There is a quiet shift within me, Lord, as I begin to release the belief that peace must always be preceded by clarity, that calm must be earned after everything makes sense. And you gently show me that trust often comes before understanding, that rest can exist even when answers are still forming, because you are not waiting on my certainty to act. You are already moving in ways my anxious mind cannot trace. And as this awareness settles, I feel my urgency soften, my need to resolve everything loosening its grip. And in this gentle unfolding, I invite you listening now to allow peace to meet you without explanation, trusting that God's presence is enough even when the path ahead is still unfolding. I sense, God, how trust begins to change the way I carry time itself, how the future no longer feels like a threat rushing toward me, but like a space already filled with your care. And you remind me that you exist beyond my timelines, beyond my deadlines and fears, holding every moment in a calm I cannot manufacture. And you invite me to live more fully in the now, not as avoidance, but as faith, believing that today is enough when placed in your hands. And as this truth settles, I feel a gentle grounding, a steadiness replacing the constant pull forward. And I quietly invite you who are listening to return to this moment with me, trusting that God is present here and will be present when tomorrow arrives. I begin to feel, Lord, how trust reshapes my inner world, how the constant tension that once lived beneath every thought starts to loosen. Not because life suddenly feels predictable, but because you feel near, and your nearness changes everything, reminding me that I was never meant to navigate uncertainty alone, that your presence is the steady ground beneath shifting circumstances, and you teach me that surrender is not losing myself but finding rest within your care. And as this awareness settles, I notice a quiet confidence emerging, not loud or forceful, but calm and resilient. And I gently invite you listening now to allow this calm to reach you, trusting that God's closeness is more stabilizing than any control you have tried to maintain. As this calm grows, God, I notice how my heart no longer feels compelled to rush ahead of grace, how I can pause without panic and wait without fear, because you are not anxious about what comes next. And your peace quietly teaches me that nothing important is lost in surrender, that what truly belongs to me will not slip away when I loosen my grip. And you remind me that your timing is not careless or delayed, but intentional and kind, shaping my life with wisdom deeper than my urgency. And as this truth settles gently into my spirit, I feel patience replacing pressure. And I softly invite you who are listening to wait here with me for a moment, trusting that God's timing is already working in your favor even now. I realize, Lord, how much strength it takes to trust when nothing around me has changed yet, when the circumstances remain uncertain and the outcome still hidden. And you honor that quiet courage by meeting me exactly where I am, not asking me to feel confident, only to stay open, to remain willing, to keep my heart soft in a world that teaches me to tense and guard myself. And you remind me that trust is not the absence of fear, but the decision to stay connected to you even while fear whispers. And as this awareness settles, I feel a deep reassurance rising beneath the surface. And I gently invite you listening now to stay present in this moment with me, trusting that God is strong enough to hold you steady even while answers are still on the way. There is a quiet surrender forming in me, God, not loud or dramatic, but steady and sincere. A willingness to stop rehearsing every possible ending and instead remain rooted in your presence right now. And you meet this surrender with gentleness, reminding me that you are not waiting for a perfect release, only an honest one. That even partial trust placed in your hands is met with complete faithfulness from yours. And you show me that letting go is a process, a series of small choices to return my fears back to you whenever they wander. And as this understanding settles, I feel less pressure to get everything right. And I softly invite you listening now to offer God whatever level of trust you have today, trusting that He receives it with patience and grace. I sense, Lord, how this growing trust begins to change the way I see myself. No longer as someone who must constantly manage, anticipate, and control to be safe, but as someone who is allowed to be carried, allowed to rest, allowed to exist without bracing for impact. And you gently remind me that my worth has never been measured by how well I handle uncertainty, but by how deeply I am loved by you. A love that does not fluctuate with outcomes or timelines. And as this truth settles into my heart, I feel a quiet dignity returning, a peace that does not depend on circumstances behaving. And in this sacred stillness, I gently invite you, listening now, to receive this same truth, trusting that you are already held, already seen, already cared for, even as you learn to let go. As I remain in this place, God, I become aware that trust is slowly becoming less of a struggle and more of a relationship, a steady awareness that I do not face uncertainty as an orphaned soul, but as one accompanied by your constant care. And you remind me that even when my emotions rise and fall, your presence does not waver, that I am not abandoned in moments of doubt or anxiety, only invited deeper into reliance on you. And as this awareness settles, I feel a quiet steadiness anchoring my heart. Not because every fear is gone, but because I am no longer alone with them. And I gently invite you listening now to remain here with me a little longer, trusting that God is still working within you, even as this prayer continues to unfold. Here at the end of this prayer, God, I no longer come asking you to remove every uncertainty or explain every outcome, but simply to hold me as I continue learning how to trust. Because I see now that letting go was never about losing faith, but about deepening it, about placing my future into hands far steadier than my own. And you meet me with a peace that feels like rest rather than resolution, like safety rather than certainty. And as I settle into this quiet confidence, I feel gratitude rising for a God who carries what I release and never grows weary. And in this final moment, I gently invite you listening to place your whole heart here with mine, trusting that as you let go, God is drawing you into deeper rest, deeper peace, and deeper assurance. And may His presence guard your heart, steady your thoughts, calm your spirit, and surround you with a peace that remains even when the path ahead is still unfolding.